Tensura X-Gate. Thus the JSDF fought their X How a Realist Hero Rebuild the Kingdom by NoruSensei. Chapter 11. Plans in Action, the Start of Evolution, the Negotiation I. Meanwhile, as the two major powers are planning to invade or attack Tempest and Japan, the US government are discussing something among themselves. That is whether they set a diplomatic relationship with Tempest, or they will plan an invasion on Tempest using the root of that goddess will build. Most of the American opinion about Tempest was, they must invade Tempest, teach them a lesson, and humiliate their self-proclaimed goddess. But there are some who are saying, they must not underestimate Tempest as an enemy. Tempest would be more advantageous as an ally. There are also some starting to worship her as a goddess. The American president Darrell was having a major headache. Why is that? The reason was first, the American people's opinions are divided. Second, according to his spies, the Russians and the Chinese governments are preparing for war against Japan and Tempest. Finally, Japan had cut its diplomatic relationship with the US. But that's not all. From all around the world, there is one well-known public figure from the largest religion in the world are requesting him to have an invasion against that self-proclaimed goddess. That religion was none other than the Holy Norse religion. I think you know what religion I'm talking about here. I was thinking to use the actual religion name, but I decided against it. It was for the sign of respect for all of my readers who are maybe believers of this religion. Closing parenthesis. They were angry as that fake goddess is introducing herself as one. Those who believed in that religion were furious. There are some people protesting. But there are some who believe in her. Some are neutral, staying about it. In Japan, most of the Japanese citizens are cheering for the goddess named Rimuru Tempest, as there is finally that will protect humanity and the planet itself. Currently they are preparing the SDF to mobilize for the defense against the possible invasions. The information was given by Rimuru herself to the Prime Minister. Then the Prime Minister decided to believe in her. He then ordered the whole SDF to be mobilized immediately and send some of them to Hokkaido. All of this are happening without Captain Atami Yuji's knowledge yet, as he was in the Empire's capital. Atami Yuji POV. As we arrived at the Empire's capital, we are currently staying at Akusho City District of Sadera. This place is also known as the Red Light District, where rape and poverty is a common thing here. At least, that was before we came here. As it turns out, the SDF that were here already cleaned out the bandits who were ruling here. Thus we made this as our temporary base in the capital. Tomorrow will be our demonstration of weapons to the Senate of the Empire to show them that we are not worth it to be their enemy. Currently we are at an old bandits' hideout. We made that as our temporary base. Moss-san is talking to Mara about the current situation. I, on the other hand, was looking at Kurikawa, who is currently checking up a patient. It seems that Japan has no plan to withdraw in the special region anytime soon. Then I remembered what she said the other day. Atami Dono. A voice called out. Ah, hi. I said as I looked at the voice who called me. It was Moss-san. I just got a telepathic message from Testarossa-sama, he said to me. What did she said? I asked. Send someone who will spy the Crown Prince. May I ask why? I asked. It seems that the Crown Prince is planning something, according to our spies. I see, but wouldn't your spies will be enough? I looked at him. If it were just it is. But we also need one for constant radio communication. That made sense. Then who will we send? I asked. Leading Private Furuta Hitoshi. He is great at cooking, Moss-san said. How will Furuta be a spy for us? I asked curiously. Simple. Tomorrow will be a cultural exchange and the weapon and technology show off for the senates. Food will be also available, according to our data, for his personality. Once he heard about the supposed gathering of the enemy, which is us and the senates, the Crown Prince will go towards the venue. We will then be alerted by the SFG that goes on the codename Archer 1 Foot that the Crown Prince and some of his bodyguards will come. Once he is getting near, we will evacuate and leave any evidence of that gathering. As for leading Private Furuta's role, since he will do the cooking. Once the Crown Prince likes a dish that was made by him, he will then go to the kitchen and ask who made the dish. When that was done, the Crown Prince will take a like at him and we're in. Moss-san explained. It might work. As expected of Moss-san, of course Testarossa-sama too. I thought to myself as I nodded to Moss-san's explanation. I then remembered back when we first arrived near the capital. Flashback. As we landed at the designated landing zone, there were 12 carriages waiting. Then we unloaded the cargo that we were transporting from the transport helicopter. Can't we just use a transport vehicle, you ask? No, we can't. These goods will be delivered straight to Princess Pina's mansion. Speaking of Princess Pina, we will be meeting her shortly along the way for those goods she is waiting. What goods? You better not know. It's usually what the girls like to read. I then shook my head to not think of those thoughts and started to help carry some crates into the carriages. That took us less time than we anticipated to load those goods into each carriages thanks to our numbers increased and let's say, Moss-san and the rest of Black Number's magic. It was amazing to see witnessed it in real life. Of course there are some of our subordinates, all of them are the SDF were so surprised by this. They said like, whoa, and among those lines. After we put all the goods we then rode on each carriages and we set off. Few minutes later, I can see some figures in the distance. It must be Princess Pina and Boza's Dono. Then we made a brief stop where Princess Pina, Boza's Dono and some Rose Order of Knights members are waiting. Oh, a Tommy Dono, Princess Pina said as she waved her hand. Then we stopped the carriages. I then got down from the carriages and started to walk. Yo. I greeted. Did you have those goods I requested to you? Princess Pina said as she had a star on her eyes along with Boza's Dono. I sighed and said, here. Then I gave it to them. As they grabbed it from my hand, then they opened the goods. There it was the BL mangas that were translated into their language. Hamilton was having a disgusted expression with Eye of the Dead Fish, while some of the knights are either neutral, somewhat interested in it, or looking at both Princess Pina and Boza's Dono with a troubled expression. I feel bad for Hamilton and some of Princess Pina's knights, I thought to myself. Then we continued the journey. Flashback end. Then the day has arrived. We prepared the necessary tools and equipment. Then we departed from Akusho district. Yao Ha Adushi Pav. Good morning. I guess you don't need to know who I am as you know my name. I'm currently here to bring the people in green to help our forest. People in green. The people in green. It's true that I was told they wear green spotted clothes, green spotted. Speaking of, that insolent guy and those men inside that place yesterday were wearing green spotted clothes. Could it be that the people in green are the men wearing those clothes? I then saw those people in green walking. I then approached them and said, why? You guys? You are the people in green, aren't you? Would you please listen to my request? My name is Yao Ha Adushi, and I traveled here from the Schwartz Forest. A flame dragon suddenly appeared many months ago. Our tribe is being wiped out. Please lend a helping hand to our clan. I said, then I paused a second to bow my head to show that I'm politely begging. This is my earnest wish, I said as I bowed my head. But then what they said next is what I unexpected. Savar Har Wugru. He said while the other two were impressed saying, oh, and, ooh. Hello. How are you doing? Why would you ask me that? Don't they understand what I just said to them? This would be a big problem. I thought to myself as I looked depressed going back to the town. I then look around with exact people wearing in green. I tried to talk to them but to no avail. Crap. I spent half a day speaking out to various people wearing the same clothes. The results. They either didn't understand my language at all or only knew some basics to get out some broken language. And in the meantime, my companions, the flame dragon is. I thought to myself while gazing at the town folks. Then someone called me. Dark Elf San, you're looking for the people in green? Want me to lead you to them? A man asked. You know their whereabouts, I asked him excitedly as I slowly raised my hope. Ah, it's this way, follow me, he said as he points at the narrow path. I didn't really trust this but I still followed him. Few minutes later he started to flirt with me and grab my breast. I decided to kick his balls and he ran away with a shout. Oh boy. Did he think I'm a prostitute? He knew some courtesy but it's not like I just give in to temptation, I said as I sighed. He also dropped his purse, I said as I tossed the purse in the air and looking at the man with an annoyed face. I then started to walk around the town to see some signs that I can't read. Third Pav. As Yao Ha Adushi walks around the town, she can see some letters she can't read in the signs and also carriages. Then a man came into her view and said, "Hey there miss, we're on a small break before returning to the imperial capital. If you are free, want to have some fun with us? Judging from your traveling garbs, you didn't have any contact in some time?" While having a smirk on his face. Yao then looked down at crotch area of the man. Yao muttered. Yao made a mockingly smirk and said, "I wonder if it's even possible with your thing?" While teasing the man. The man went pale in shock. "Even the prostitutes of the imperial capital turned a blind eye on me," the man said as he runs with tears at his eyes. Yao was surprised by this, then she was shocked to see some people are staring at her. One of those are a wolf beastman, another is a demi-human. Someone's got to pity him, the wolf beastman thought to himself as he awkwardly looks away. "Sorry," Yao said in her soft voice in embarrassment. Then she proceeds to walk. As she walks, she then seems a nobleman and a merchant negotiating. Then she went near to a fabric that caught her attention. This brilliance. What a pretty fabric," Yao commented. "Right? It's a foreign cloth called satin," the nobleman said. "That's why. I keep telling you that I can't sell it here. Try the Italica or the Imperial Capital branch," the merchant said. "I already went to the branches in Lognan and Davies, and they didn't have a stock either. I'm begging you. I'm talking as a noble customer here. I desire a dress even more pendant than that of a certain family for my daughter. If it happens that you can't deliver, you know what that means? Like that. Get it? Right now, the high society of the imperial capital has become really bad because of illness. All of a sudden a small fraction of the ladies were putting on dazzling dresses and ornaments. Also cosmetics improving skin, youthfulness and underwear making the breasts seems bigger. The competitive spirit and vanity of noble women is something amazing. The fashion industry is in a panic." A certain seamstress was made to confess. That information spread across the business world in the blink of an eye. Everything points to illness as the origins of this. Thanks to the foreign drawings from that store, the shape of dresses change. "It's all over if we miss of this chance. Well, think about saving me," the nobleman begged. "But you see," the merchant said while crouching at the back of his head with a troubled expression. Then Yao made a suggestion. In that case, how about this? This merchant acquires a deposit from you to transport this cargo in exchange for the proof of deposit you can pick up the goods at the branch." "I see, so even if the wares don't arrive, I won't be at a loss," the merchant said. "And I get to purchase the cargo as it is? As expected of a dark elf. They excel at cunning," the nobleman said. Then Yao leaves both of them behind. Wasn't that just common sense? Yao thoughts to herself as she walks. Then she arrived in front of PX. The then looks at it with amazement. "I didn't see it yesterday because it was night, but I've never seen a store this huge," Yao thought as she went inside the store. "Welcome," said by the cashier. Yao then went to the display goods, then she picked up the toilet roll and thought. "What is this? These are some amazing wares." Then she noticed something. It was some SDF soldiers talking to the cashier. "Those guys can understand our language," Yao though to herself as she observed. "How about this too? It's a charm of Mboa. The cashier named MEIA, a cat people suggested. "Well, that too," a SDF member said. "No, the clerk speaks in the language of the people in green." Yao thought as she went near to hear the conversation. "Thank you much NYA. MEIA said as the SDF soldiers left. "Welcome, now if it isn't yesterday's. Did you find the people in green?" MEIA greeted Yao as she noticed her. Then she asked about if she found what Yao was looking for. "Those people right now, the language you spoke with," Yao said as she went to the counter. "Ah, you mean Japanese? There's a reference book, NYA. MEIA said as she showed Yao the reference book. In the book cover, Japanese language complication of ordinary conversation. Editing. Almas Living Community. Supervision, Kato L. Alteston and Captain Yuji Itami. Created by Queen Rimuru Tempest. Published by Lieutenant Gen Kuichiro Hamaza, JSDF staff and Jura Tempest Federation Queendom staff. Any use other than with the purpose of education is prohibited by the staff. Burn the vital parts after finished using. It's written here that it was created by Queen Rimuru Tempest. May I ask who is she? Yao asks. Ah. Rimuru-sama is the queen of the nation called Jura Tempest Federation Queendom Nya. Japan had a very close diplomatic relationship. This town was finished fast all thanks to Rimuru-sama's help Nya. MEIA explained. I haven't heard of it. Could you tell me more about her? Yao asks excitedly. Etta. From what I heard, Rimuru-sama can either speak our language or the Japanese language, MEIA said. Really? Tell me more, Yao asks more excitedly. Rimuru-sama is a real beauty. She only visits when necessary Nya. MEIA said. Is she here right now? Yao asks. No, she's currently not here Nya. MEIA shook her head. Then Yao gets the book from MEIA, looked closely and said. Then, can I buy this? This is supplied to union workers or language trainees Nya. And foremost, we couldn't buy such an excellent book with our salary Nya. MEIA said as she gets the book back from Yao's hands. I'm humbly begging you. Didn't you already hear my story yesterday? I'm at a total loss since the people in green can't understand my language. Yao begged as she was doing the dagoza. It's impossible, even if you beg for it Nya. She said with a troubled expression. If I do poorly here and get fired as a result, my family and clan might scatter once again if I fail to support them. Most of all, I don't want to discourage House Formal, who accepted us demi-humans. Since I got introduced to such a heavenly workplace, there is no deduction of expenses, I get a wage and also can take time off. The beer is tasty too. MEIA thought to herself. I'm sorry Nya, since my boss is not here right now. I don't have time for this, please. Yao begged desperately. MEIA Cha, N. A MP called MEIA. We're on patrol. Having any problems? Another MP asked. Ah no, everything's fine. MEIA said. That's good to hear. The MP said. Isn't this elf here the woman we had been reported about? Another MP asked. Ah, you mean the idle gossip about being invited only to get kicked in the groin and money extorted? The MP asked. Appears to be in her late 20s, caramel-colored skin and silver hair. Elf ears. An absolute beauty with a mantle and leather bindings. I wonder if she also has a whip. What should we do? Another MP described and asked. Can't be helped, since the special region and towns are under jurisdiction of the military police. If the crime actually happened, we just have to hand her over to Formal's place. If the victim was Japanese on the other hand, we'd have to send her to Tokyo. Finally, if the victim is from Tempest, we will have to call Rimuru-sama about this, or call the Tempest Foreign Affairs Department to be sent at Rimuru City. The MP explained. I hear you story a bit. The MP said as he reached his hand to Yao. A Japanese that can understand my language. Yao thought to herself as she finally hoped that she will get help from the people in green. Sure thing. Sure thing. Yao excitedly said in agreement as she went with the 2 megapixels personnel. There's definitely a misunderstanding here Nya. MEIA whispered as she had a troubled expression and pity expression. Rimuru parallel existence POV. As Kazuya-kun had calmed down, it was all thanks to Lisha-chan and Aisha-chan. The next day, I had Diablo and Ultima to come here. I also told them to not just teleport into the castle but somewhere into the city that people is not there, then ask permission to seek audience later today. It was already morning, the sun was already up. I wore the Elfrienden military uniform as I am still Kazuya-kun's personal advisor. Then I went to the castle's cafeteria to get some breakfast. When I arrived there, most of the knights and maids were staring at me. Then one of them approached to me and said, What are you doing here, Your Highness? The queen of a nation as a guest shouldn't be eating here. The head maid Serena said to me. Rimuru is fine Serena-chan. Right now I'm not here as a queen, but as Kazuya-kun your king's personal advisor. I said to her. We can't do that Rimuru-sama. You are still a queen, also our royal guest. Please eat at the royal dining room. What was the all of the commotion about? A voice asked. I already knew who it is. It was Kazuya-kun who is still half asleep. Why, Your Majesty? We're sorry to cause for a commotion. Serena said as she bowed. Others also followed suit. No need to bow at me. Ah, good morning Rimuru-san. Kazuya-kun said and greeted me. Good morning Kazuya-kun, how's your sleep with Lisha-chan and Aisha-chan? I asked him as I gave him my teasing smile. As I asked him that Kazuya-kun was blushing red. Meanwhile Serena widened her eyes in surprise but she regained her composure. The rest were also blushing but decided to finish their food fast. Ho ho. I didn't know His Majesty would already sleep not just with Lisha Haim but also to Aisha-sama. Serena said as she smirked at Kazuya-kun. Then all of a sudden I heard a twack sound. It was Hakuya-kun who smacked Serena in the head with a paper pan. But that is not just an ordinary paper pan, it was enhanced with magic so that it can deal more pain. I also got smacked by the paper fan but I didn't feel any pain due to my pain nullification. I could just evade it but I let it hit me then I acted that it also hurt by holding my head where the paper pan had hit me. Rimuru-sama, I would like to request to not to tease His Majesty. Also Serena, don't join in with Rimuru-sama. As I remember, Lisha-sama will wake up in a couple more minutes. So please prepare already if you're done eating. Hi, now then Hakuya-sama, His Highness. I will excuse myself and assist Lisha-sama. Serena bowed then left. Ow, ow, ow. Is that how you treat a queen from another nation Hakuya-kun? I asked him teasingly. I apologize Rimuru-sama, but you said it yourself earlier. You came here to eat not as a queen of a nation, but as His Majesty's personal advisor, right? Hakuya-kun asked. I was just teasing you Hakuya-kun. I said to him. Then we went to an empty table to eat our breakfast. Kazuya-kun was still a bit red from embarrassment. Then moments later Lisha-chan then joined us on the table. Good morning Lisha-chan. I greeted her with a smile. Good morning Rimuru-sama. She greeted back with a smile then sat beside me. Your Majesty, it's almost time for your training. Hakuya-kun reminded Kazuya-kun. Then, I'll be getting off first. Kazuya-kun said as he get his plate. Don't push yourself too much Kazuya-kun. I said with a smile. Soma, do your best. Lisha-chan said as she smiles. Hi. Then Kazuya-kun walks off with Hakuya-kun. As they walked away, I asked something to Lisha-chan. So, how was your night with Kazuya-kun? Then I smiled mischievously. As I asked Lisha-chan she then widened her eyes and I saw her blush while choking. What do you mean Rimuru-sama? Lisha-chan asks as she blushed. Did something happen perhaps? I asked her teasingly. We just only had Soma calm down tea then we slept. Lisha explained. Oh youth, it must be nice to be young, I said to her teasingly. Please stop teasing me Rimuru-sama. Lisha requested. Alright, I'll stop, I said smilingly. As we finished our food, Lisha have went back to Kazuya-kun's office to work. While I went to my room and prepared myself a tea. Timeskip. 3rd POV. A few days after the trial and the announcement of Elfrenden Kingdom and Jura Tempest Federation Queendom's alliance. Since that day, some of them experienced big changes in their lives. One of them was Carla, who joined the Maid Corps. Although she had a hard time doing something that she wasn't used to, she was doing her best. Carla-san, you will leave a wrinkle in the sheets if you do that. How many times must I tell you until you get it? Serena said as she whips Carla. I'm so sorry, head maid. Carla apologized as she fixed the bed sheets. The head of Saracen House, Pilteri Saracen. Quote. Pilteri was silent as he heard the crimes that his father had committed. To think that Otu-sama did that. My shame knows no bounds. As an apology, I will do anything that you ask me to. Pilteri said as he lowered his head in front of Soma. He was posted in the Grand Chaos Empire as an ambassador from the kingdom. He was appointed as special ambassador to live in the empire. He's a diligent and loyal young lad with a strong sense of responsibility. Soma was sure he'll do his duty well.
Soma Kazuya POV. Your Highness, just 10 laps more, Owen said. UGHK. I muttered as I ran. The head of the Jabana house, Owen Jabana. He has become a counselor to tutor me, and my trainer, as well as my fighting instructor. Soma. Lisha called me. What is it? Pant Lisha. Pant, I asked her as I stopped running and started to catch my breath. Time to wrap up. Ludwin Dono is already waiting for you, Lisha said. Is Rimuru-san going with us?
I asked as I started to drink some water. The thing is, Lisha said while she seems to have a troubled expression. I'm going with you, Rimuru-san said. Then I saw Rimuru-san wearing her Queen of Tempest outfit. What outfit, you asked? It's not like those ordinary queen-like outfits. Rimuru-san wears a traditional Japanese yukata with her hair down. It shows her cleavage. She had another queen's outfit. It was a dress that shows her cleavage a bit more. When Rimuru-san and I were formally talking to each other about our diplomatic relationship, I couldn't focus on our talk as I accidentally caught the glimpse of her cleavage. This of course saw by Rimuru-san herself, Lisha, Diablo-san and Ultima-san. Rimuru-san just smirked and said, "Kazuya-kun, you pervert," while teasing me. This caused Lisha to send glares at me, then she pinched my shoulder hard. Meanwhile I can sense a killing intent from both Diablo-san and Ultima-san. It was so scary, I didn't mean to look at her cleavage like that, I swear. When I learned that Diablo-san and Ultima-san was Rimuru-san's children, all of us except for the trio to be surprised. Who we were? It was of course me, Lisha, Hakuya, Aisha and Duchess Excel. Juna-san was not present at the meeting due to her still moving her things into the castle. Duchess Excel, or should I say Princess Excel, is here due to being Rimuru-san's child. Soma. Stop staring at Rimuru-sama any longer, Lisha said with anger and jealousy. That bring me back into my senses. Era, I think you found my clothing today beautiful, Rimuru-san said teasingly. Then I noticed a woman wearing a lab coat. It was almost in the same height as Lisha. She had a long brown hair that was tied up in a ponytail. What's her name? I asked at Rimuru-san as I looked at the woman who seems to be in her early 20s. Let me introduce her to you. This is our Magiscientist, Fudora. She is Tempest's head on technology research and advancements. Rimuru-san introduced her. My name is Fudora, Your Highness. It's my pleasure to meet you, Fudora-san said as she bowed. Likewise, I'm the Provisional King of Elfrenden, Soma Kazuya, I said as I stretched out my hand for an handshake. Fudora-san lifted her head up, then also reached at my hand. Then we did the handshake. And then, few moments later, Rimuru-san, Fudora-san, Lisha and I, together with the head of the Royal Guard Ludwin Arx, we led to a certain place deep inside the forest in the Arx region. He came to me and lowered his head. It seems that he has someone that he wants me to meet no matter what, and there are things that he needs to tell me. It's about someone troublesome. It's over here. Your Majesty, Princess Lisha, Her Majesty, and Fudora don't know. The person that I want you to meet is inside this place. What is this thing? I thought to myself as I looked at a garage-like structure. Genia, it's me. Ludwin Arx. Ludwin introduced himself into a tube-like microphone. Interesting. I heard Fudora-san said as she looks at where Ludwin is talking to. Open tortoise shell bracket coming. Whoa. Close tortoise shell bracket, a girl's voice can be heard. Then we heard someone slipping. Ludwin had his face on his palm. Meanwhile all of us were confused. Open tortoise shell bracket och. Well, Luni, what brings you here today? Close tortoise shell bracket, the person named Genia asked. Luni. Lisha and I said at the same time. Era, what a cute nickname, Rimuru-san commented. Indeed, Rimuru-sama, Fudora-san said in agreement. I'm here with some important people, Ludwin said in embarrassment. Open tortoise shell bracket, all right. I'm opening the door now. Close tortoise shell bracket, she said as the gate opens. As the gates opens up, she said, open tortoise shell bracket, come in. Close tortoise shell bracket, then we entered and saw stairs that shines bright. What exactly is this place? I asked as I looked around. It was once a place that is filled with monsters. It was an abandoned dungeon, Ludwin answered. Is this really that dungeon? I thought to myself. There are many types of dungeon. Some are just a tunnel, while some are made of stones. Their appearance also varies greatly, Lisha explained. But still, I thought to myself as I can't convince to it. Then I knocked on the wall to check what is it made of. The entrance, these glowing metallic walls. It's just too futuristic. I wonder if it's from an ancient run or something, I said curiously. I can say that the technology used here is amazing, Fudora-san commented. Fudora, don't get too much excited. Remember you are here to have a small research, right? Rimuru-san reminded Fyodora-san. Hi, Rimuru-sama. She said seriously. Now then, who is this person are we going to meet? I asked. The person that we'll be meeting is Genia Maxwell, of the Maxwell House. The Maxwell House was originally a noble house because of their achievements as researchers. They were especially renowned for their contribution in breaking down and analyzing technologies found inside dungeons. Things like the broadcast orb or the transceivers were all created by the Maxwell House. Ludwin explained. Now this is really interesting, Fyodora-san said. I'm amazed. Rimuru-san commented. That's impressive, I commented. But the Empire is also using them too, right? I asked. It seems that years ago, one of the kings sold that technology outside the kingdom. The Maxwell House that only focused on research left the management of the region under them to the Ark's House, and they let the Ark's House take half of the profit gained from that region. As for the other half, it is used to fuel their ongoing research, and so that's how they've still continued researching for years. At the moment, the Ark's House is like a patron to the Maxwell House, but... Ludwin paused for a second. Genia, who is 5 years younger than me, was raised together with me as if we were siblings. Although the budget for the Maxwell House has already been decided, well, since both of our parents are already deceased, our only family is each other, and eventually, I had to give some of my wages due to this little sister's request thing. Ludwin explained. I heard that Ludwin is living a simpler life than his own men, so this is the reason, I thought to myself. Then we finally reached the bottom floor. As we walk into a hallway, Fyodora-san was looking at each inventions that was displayed as we walked. As we got close, we saw a young-looking woman early in her 20s wearing a lab coat, glasses and semi-long green hair. Yo, Luni, welcome. Also, isn't this His Highness the King, Queen, Lisha, and... She paused for a second when she saw Rimuru-san. Why, you're Rimuru-sama, right? The one who sings with the Lorelei, mother of Duchess Excel and Juna-sama. Finally the Queen of Tempest, right? She said with while there are stars in her eyes. Era, I'm surprised that you know about me, Rimuru-san said as she smiles. I'm very honored that you visited me, Genia said with a wide smile on her face. Genia, that talk can be for later, Ludwin scolded. Hi. Then, who is she? Genia looked at Fyodora-san. I'm Fyodora, Tempest's head on technology research and advancements. Fyodora introduced herself. Welcome to my humble workshop. I am Genia Maxwell, an inventor as well as a researcher and over-scientist. And I'm also a mage under the Royal Army. Genia introduced herself. Now that I recall, you were in the weapons development team, I said as I recalled. Well yes. But I made some mistakes and here I am, she said energetically. I see. So, what are you doing at the moment? I asked. My family has been researchers for years. Relics from dungeon, but we started to be able to see what lies there. Genia answered and explained. What lies where? I curiously asked. That magic obeys something not of this world. Your Highness, do you understand the mechanism behind the broadcast orb? She answered. Then Genia asked me. It is one of the ancient relics found inside the dungeon fueled by the wind spirit Sylph and water spirit Undine. It can transfer sound and image. I answered. From what I can remember, Lisha told me before. Very well. In that case, have you ever seen this Sylph and Undine? Genia asks me. No, I answered. I thought so. Due to this unexplainable thing called magic in this world, it becomes difficult to see the truth. It's all because everything that we thought to be normal or natural can be overridden easily by magic. To be honest, the research about the orb was all a huge coincidence. After we tried everything, we found out that when we supplied water and wind-type magical power, it was able to take sounds and images from its surroundings, and for some reason the water that we harvested from the dungeon where we found that orb was reflecting the images and sound from that orb. The blessings of the spirits was something that was added. Genia explained. Then, you are saying that these spirits are not real? I asked. That discovery was a pure accident. Which also means that we don't know how to use the orb other than to broadcast, she explained and clarified. I see. So even if the orb can do more than that, we still haven't found out what at the moment, I thought to myself as I looked at the orb. The water spirit Undine and wind spirit Sylph is real, you know, Rimuru-san said. Really? Genia, Lisha, Ludwin and I asked at the same time. Hi, they exist. Their only role is to ensure that water-type and wind-type magic is usable. Of course that applies to other elemental spirits. Also amongst those elemental spirits there are also primordial spirits, and also the Queen of Spirits named Ramirez. Rimuru-san informed us. As expected of Rimuru-sama, currently Ramirez-sama is living in Tempest. Fudora-san said and praised Rimuru-san. Then I want to meet her soon, I said. When you visit to Tempest, Rimuru-san said as she smiles. Soma, let's talk about that later. First let's go back to the topic, Lisha reminded. Hi. In that case then, what exactly is this orb? I asked. To put it simply, it was the dungeon's core, Genia answered. Dungeon's core. It refers to the object that lies in the deepest and lowest part of the dungeon. It is known to be the most important part of a dungeon, since it's the source which maintains the dungeon. Because of that, by destroying or deactivating the core, it will destroy the ecosystem inside the dungeon, thus making it an abandoned dungeon. The main goal of the dungeon explorers is to destroy, stop and bring back the dungeon's core. After all, by bringing back the core that can be used as a broadcasting device, they will attain renown as well as a generous amount of money. But the deeper they go, the stronger the monsters they encounter. As such, subjugating a dungeon is something that only be done once every few decades. Moreover, they can't bring back a fully intact core. Rimuru-san explains. Woo-ah. You knew about it, Rimuru-sama? You are pretty knowledgeable. Genia complimented Rimuru-san. Of course, as expected of Rimuru-sama, Fudora said and also praised Rimuru-san. Now, Genia-chan, can you please continue? Rimuru-san requested. Of course, now. If they try to take away a still working core without breaking it first, they will basically release the monsters on the upper floors. Which means that the researchers have only researched broken cores. With the knowledge that we currently have, it's impossible to reactivate an already broken core. The existence of unknown things brings fear to people. But that is exactly what pushes people to understand them, even if. Genia explained. Then I spoke. They have to attribute them to things like magic and higher powers, I concluded. That is indeed correct. I'm glad that Your Highness is a knowledgeable person. We of the Maxwell House believe that magic obeys the logic not of this world. That's why we keep doing our research. Although it's true that a part of the core is reactivated using magic power, but we can think of that source of energy in terms of an empirical mathematical construct. There is a real logic behind its mechanism. To make it easier to prefer to, we call it over-science, Genia explains. Over-science. I thought to myself. Then Genia demonstrates by summoning 2 earth golems, then explained the similarities of control magic and differences between each magic. Then finally Genia showed us something interesting. Now then, look at this, she said as she pointed to a futuristic-looking fan. This is Susumu-kun Mark V, Genia said proudly presented. I muttered in confusion. Ho, Fudora-san muttered in amazement. What a funny face you're making there, Kazuya-kun. Rimuru-san commented as she smirked. Well, each one up to 4 has given their lives for this research, you see. Anyway, let me demonstrate the greatness of Susumu-kun. Switch on, she said as she clicked the button. Then all of a sudden a very strong wind flew. We felt like we were being blown away, but Rimuru-san had put up a barrier in advance to prevent that. Rimuru-san then walks to the switch of Genia's invention and turns it off. We felt the wind stopped a few seconds later. Our hair were messy, and my cape almost flew away. Rimuru-san's hair was still fixed, elegant as ever. As Rimuru-san had turned off Genia's invention, she faced us with a smile on her face. Genia-chan, next time please make sure before you test inventions in the future to guide us in a safe area first. What could have happened if I were not here? Rimuru-san scolded to Genia with a smile on her face. It's a bit scary to see Rimuru-san like that, I thought to myself as I looked at Rimuru-san. Hi. Well, I'm sorry about that. I got back and front side reversed Rimuru-sama, Genia said as she bowed. As long as you understand, Rimuru-san said as she smiled. Anyway, This was a good demonstration of Susumu-kun Mark V's power. This device pulls in air from in front of it and pushes it out from behind. That big ring controls the flow of energy, and that carvings is from a modified evasion magic. This is based on the failed experiment of the repelling magic used by the Empire's magic armor troops. It seems that the evasion magic actually caused damage to the soldiers standing behind them. Also manipulate magic particles in water and air. Which means, we might be able to use it to manipulate the direction as well as to suck in and blow out objects. And if we can compress or concentrate that power. She explained. Then Rimuru-san continued that explanation for her. We might be able to make some kind of propulsion device by controlling the magic particles inside water and air. After all, it's basically the same as controlling the flow of the air or the water itself. Is that right? Rimuru-san then asked at the end. You're correct, Rimuru-sama. This ring is basically a propulsion device that can suck in and blow out objects by supplying it with magic. And that is the Susumu-kun Mark V. For example, if we install it in a ship. I bet this propulsion device can even push forward a ship made of steel. It would be able to replace one giant sea dragon. Genia explained and proclaimed. That caught my attention and thought that this is a good invention. Wait, doesn't that mean we don't need it as long as we have sea dragons? Ludwin asked. No, this is an impressive invention, Ludwin, I said. I then continued. If we have just 10 of these, they can replace the power of 10 giant sea dragons. In reality, is it possible for 10 giant sea dragons to drag a large-sized battleship? I asked Ludwin. That's impossible. At most, we can only control 3 sea dragons at one time, Ludwin answered. That would mean even if we think of this propulsion device as only for ships, we will be able to have a battleship that is far larger than what we've ever had before. Just think about it. What if we make a huge cargo ship that is powered by 5 of these propulsion devices? It will create a revolution in the transportation world. I explained to them on what I'm thinking. Rimuru-san and Fudora-san only nods from what I said. Lisha was just looking at me. Genia meanwhile was getting excited from the idea. I see. Ludwin said. You said that we just need to fuel it with magic, right? So what is the energy source for this? I asked Genia. Fufufu, that is. She paused for a second as she gets something from her lab coat pocket. Then she showed it to me. We install this thing inside it, Genia said. What is this? I asked. It's chaos ore, Genia said. Chaos ore? I asked. It's an ore considered as a hindrance in mining. Mining is basically done using magic, drilling with water magic, airing tunnel using wind magic, and melting hard metals using fire magic. With magic, miners didn't have to carry tools inside the narrowed tunnels. But when they were close to chaos ore for some reason, they couldn't use magic. And if they still tried to use magic, it would explode. Lisha answered and explained. Explode? Inside the mine? That's dangerous, I muttered as I looked at the chaos ore. So once they encountered this ore, they couldn't continue digging. Lisha explains. She was about to say something, then Rimuru-san spoke. And since magic is recognized as a blessing from the fairies and the gods, it's also known as cursed ore. Is what you were going to say next, right, Lisha-chan? Rimuru-san said and asked as she winks her eyes. Lisha nods. Let's put it in a simple way. Chaos ore can be used as batteries to supply magic power to the propulsion device. Susumu-kun Mark V, since the kingdom has a lot of chaos ore laying underground. It means there would be no problems in producing them anytime soon. Rimuru-san explains. The chaos ore can be used as a battery. In this sad world where there's no electricity, not even steam engines, to think that there's a way to store energy. If we can get this technology faster than the other nations, it'll greatly evolve this kingdom. It's basically the energy revolution. I thought to myself as I realized what Rimuru-san had explained. As I looked at her, she just gave me a mischievous smile. So there was such a ore here, Rimuru-sama? I remember that we had to build it from scratch just to have a magicule generator that runs with your soul magicules. Fudora-san asked and remembered. This would be still inferior from what we had, but this can help them greatly, Rimuru-san said. What kind of technologies you had, Rimuru-sama? Fudora-san, Genia said with a star on her eyes. Well. That would be a secret for now. That being said, Fudora, tell them one of the technologies we had back in Tempest, Rimuru-san said. Hi. Rimuru-sama. One technology that we had is a magicule adapter. It can be used similar to chaos ore. It can store your magicule and it can be used to power up other technologies. Fudora-san explained. That's wonderful. One question. What is a magicule? Genia asks. A magicule is similar to magic. Magicule can depend on the person on how long they can use it. That's where magicule capacity comes. Magicule capacity that measures on how long you can use magic. There are also limits into it. Once you run out of magicules, you'll be put to sleep. But that rule doesn't apply, however, if you had unlimited amounts of magicules. Another is to not use all of your magicules. In order to restore them, you need to take a rest and not use any magic. Rimuru-san explains. I see. Genia nods in satisfaction. Now Kazuya-kun, I know you are thinking that this can be dangerous. It can cause a shock to other nations and can cause war just for the chaos ore. It is also a problem to Orthodox Papal State of Lunaria, right? Other than those problems, there's no need to worry about it. Just protect Genia as a VIP like Tomo-chan. Rimuru-san said and suggested. Rimuru-san is right. Genia's importance is just like Tomo. Nobles who notice her importance would definitely try to approach her. I want to avoid this situation as much possible, so I thought to myself. By the way, Ludwin. I called Ludwin. Hi? Ludwin asked. Do you love Genia? I asked. Nah, Ludwin muttered in surprise while his face is red. I then looked at Genia, who was shocked. Soma, Lisha shouted. Meanwhile Rimuru-san just smiled as usual. Your Highness, that was out of the blue, he complained. It's important. What do you think of Genia? And what does Genia think of you? Taking this under consideration, I have to think about how to handle this situation, I said with a tone of serious voice. After all, for someone as important as her, I want her to take root in this kingdom with someone that I can trust. I thought to myself as I looked at the both of them. I then went near to Lisha and whispered. What do you think of these two? I asked. Lisha then whispered her answer. I think both her and Ludwin don't have feelings for each other, but... Do you mean whether I'd be willing to be Lu Ni's wife? Genia asked. That would actually speed up this matter a lot if you understand it. So let me ask you clearly, I said, then paused for a second as I walked forward in front of Genia. Do you not want to marry Ludwin? I asked. Not at all. I always thought I wanted to marry someone all this time. And it would be great if that would be Lu Ni. Genia answered as she smiles with blushes on her face. Genia. Ludwin muttered. Ah, he muttered again as he went near Genia. Your Highness, please forgive me for what I will say. Although I know your Highness wants to keep such a talented person in this kingdom, it would be cruel to suddenly subject her to a marriage. Ludwin said with concern. I understand what you want to say. Even I and Lisha are tied together through a forced marriage too, you see. I said with a bit of awkward expression as I looked at Lisha, whose face is red. UGHK. Ludwin muttered. It's just my opinion as someone experienced in it, but I think the most important thing is how both of you would spend your time together from now on. No. Moreover, you're both childhood friends, right? I asked the both of them and I smiled. Your Highness. Ludwin said with a bit of hesitation. If you want to proceed with the marriage, you can use the name Maxwell Ark's house. You'll still have your Maxwell house name and the royal family will pay for the marriage. Not only that, the kingdom will pay 90% of your research expenditures, so you won't be a burden to the Ark's house anymore. I've laid out everything, and Genia has also already told you her real feelings. What's next is your part, no? I guaranteed and gave courage to the both of them. Also Ludwin, as the Queen of Jura Tempest Federation Queendom, I would send aid in your future research. That's also part of our treaty after all. I would send some of the research that would be under Fudora. So don't worry about anything. Rimuru-san said as she smiles. Hi. Thank you so much. Ludwin gave thanks. Ludwin dono. Lisha called. Hi, he said, then he faced Genia. Genia. Will you marry me? Ludwin proposed. Are you okay with me? You know that I'm not suitable to be the wife of a noble, right? Genia asks. I know, even so, I want you to stay beside me forever. Ludwin reassures Genia. I'll be in your care, darling, Genia said as she smiles. Phew. With this, I guess things will be fine, huh? I muttered. I then cleared my throat and went to the main topic on why we went here in the first place. Shizu Tempest Pav. I'm currently preparing for my departure tomorrow. I'm also a bit excited as I will go in Japan. I volunteered to be there as a queen who will be supervising and explore Japan for a bit. Kumiko is going with me as my personal secretary and maid at the same time. Even though I told to Rimuru-san that I can handle myself, she's too much of a worry pat. Currently I'm inside the castle going straight to the garden. I'm really impressed up until now that our garden has cherry blooms in it. It makes me remember of my childhood. Later on I went to Tempest Human Resources Development Academy to visit Chloe and Hinata. As I arrived inside, all of the teachers there were bowing with me. That's also the same with the students of Tempest. Long time no see Shizu-sensei, no Shizu-sama. A familiar voice greeted me. It was Tis-sensei. She still looks young as ever. Why is that? I remembered that Rimuru-san granted her immortality and started to work here as a teacher in Tempest ever since. Tis-sensei, I said that you don't have to call me like that, right? Also Shizu-sensei is fine. I'm still a teacher after all. I puffed my cheeks as I said that to Tis-sensei. As you wish, Shizu-sensei, she said as she smiles. I haven't talked to you much since the marriage. How have you been? I asked. I'm fine, Shizu-sensei, still teaching students as before. Why are you here right now? I'm here to visit Chloe and Hinata to check on them, I answered. I see. Hinata-sensei is currently teaching at class 1 to 3. Chloe Caucho is currently at the headmaster's office. Tis-sensei informed me.
A.N. Kuchu, Kouchou, means headmaster in English. This can be translated also as principal in English. You still have classes to teach, right, Tis-sensei? I asked her. Not right now, I'm going to teach later on the last subject, she answered. Well then, I'll go ahead. See you again soon, Shizu-sensei, she greeted. Then we parted ways. As I reached to Chloe's office, I then knocked on the door. Come in. Then I opened the door. As I opened the door I can see Chloe stamping some documents on her table. She looks at me, then she stood up and said. Ah, Shizu-sensei. What brings you here? Chloe asks me. What? Can't I visit my former teacher, former student and now my co-wife? I asked to her. No, not at all. Chloe said as she stood up and hugs me. Then I took a seat on the chair Chloe had provided me. That's a lot of paperwork you were working on, I commented as I looked at her desk. It is. These paperwork that I'm doing are the grades of all students. These were the final computation of grades from each teachers. I'm just currently putting a stamp on them to signifies that I already checked them, Chloe said. I then grabbed one of the papers that Chloe had finished checking on. I saw there was the budget report on how much it had spent this month. That's a lot of money you had spent here, I muttered. It is, Shizu-sensei, here your tea. Chloe then puts the cup of tea in front of me. Thank you. I thanked Chloe. Shizu-sensei, I heard that you will be leaving tomorrow, Chloe said. It's from Rimuru-san, isn't it? I asked her. Hi. Rimuru came here an hour ago, Chloe informed me. I already know about it, that's why I came here to personally talk to you about it, I said. Are you're going to be fine, sensei? She asks me. Don't worry, Chloe, I'll be fine. Also, I had Kumiko with me, I reassured Chloe. Even still, Shizu-sensei, you're a queen now. I'm sure Benimaru and the others will be also worried while you were in Japan, said Chloe. Besides, all I had to do is to supervise our engineers while building the gate, right? I also want to explore Japan today. I want to see the exact changes it had ever since I got summoned, I explained and reassured her. Well, I trust you, Shizu-sensei, you are more stronger than before after all, she said. But it is still weird for me to see you again in that form. You really are my old sensei, I said to her. But sensei, I thought you looked over us? Chloe asks. I did, but I just still can't get myself used to it, I said, then I took a sip of my tea. Shizu-sensei. You're embarrassing me, Chloe said as she also took a sip of her tea with a bit blush on her face. By the way, did you know where Rimuru-san went? I asked. Rimuru said she will visit Alnus shortly, Chloe answered to my question. Alnus? You mean to where I'm going tomorrow? I asked again. Hi,
Rimuru said that she will take care of things first, Chloe answered. So that's why I felt her that she was a bit far away, I thought to myself as I put down the cup. Oh, she did had a thought communication with me earlier saying that she will take care of things, but she didn't tell me that it was on Alnus, I thought to myself. Shizu-sensei. Chloe called me. What is it? I asked. I didn't imagine that I would talk to you again like this, she said. Me too, Chloe. Just look how much you've really grown, I said to her. Then we chatted more a little bit. Then I went back to the castle to be greeted by the maids. Shuna-san was there as usual at the office helping Rimuru-san's parallel existence. I then went to the training room to control my powers. Rimuru, original, POV. I'm currently at Alnus to meet this dark elf. Yes, that's why I came to Alnus. This dark elf named Yao Haadushi is requesting help to Hamaza-kun. Currently they're talking in a meeting room with Lilei-chan as the translator. As Yao was looking down, I had decided to enter the room. Of course the JSDF soldiers that are guarding the room didn't do anything as they knew about me. Then knocked and I entered the room. All of them were staring at me, but then Hamaza-kun, Yanagita-kun and Lilei-chan stood up. Our Rimuru-sama. Lilei-chan first reacted. Then Hamaza-kun and Yanagita-kun started to salute. Meanwhile Yao is still staring at me. You didn't tell us that you were going to visit us today, Rimuru-sama, Yanagita-kun said. What may we do for you today, Rimuru Oju-sama? Hamaza-kun asked. Oh, it's nothing. I just came by to check upon the preparations. I came up with an excuse. I see. We will show you our progress later on, Hamaza-kun said. Aren't you getting a bit too stiff? You may release your salute, you know? I said to them. Then they put down their hands from the salute. I then looked at Yao who were confused on the situation. Who is this young, matured dark elf lady here? I asked pretending I didn't know. Of course everyone here in the room, except for Yao-chan that I'm a goddess she is speaking to. As for Alnus, some knew that I am a goddess. But most doesn't know about it yet. Hamaza-kun and the other got my signal, then Yanagita-kun started to introduce. Rimuru-sama. This is Yao Haadushi. She was at first brought here on someone reporting that she invites men to make out on the alleyway. Then when they got there she kicks their genitals and grab their money. But later on it was proven false as the man in question admitted that he was the one who first groped her breast. Yanagita-kun explained. I see, then why is she here right now? I asked. Yao-san was here because she requested our aid. But Lieutenant General Hamaza declined it as it is counted to invading another country. Yanagita-kun explained. Yao-chan, where did you came from? I asked her. Two came from Schwarzed Forest, Your Majesty. Yao answered as she bowed. That is from another nation indeed. But fear not, the king of that nation is actually here. I told them, which shocked them. What do you mean, Rimuru-sama, Rimuru Ojo-sama? Yanagita-kun and Hamaza-kun asked at the same time. He was actually in the hospital. The old man with a patch on his eyes. I said his description. I think I'm familiar. Yanagita-kun said. I'll go with you later on. I told him. Then I looked at Yao-chan. Your request is to help you defeat the flame dragon, right? I asked. Hi. Please help my clan to defeat the flame dragon Rimuru-sama. She said as she bows her head deeply. Then, if you do one of my requests I will grant the mobilization of the JSDF. I said to her. Really? Yao-chan said excitedly. Rimuru-sama. That would be too much risky. Yanagita-kun complained. First Lieutenant Yanagita. Keep it down. Hamaza-kun scolded him. I'm sorry, Rimuru-sama. He apologized. It's fine, I didn't mind it actually. I knew you were going to react that way. Anyway, are you ready, Yao-chan? I said to Yanagita-kun and asked Yao-chan. Hi. She answered. Then I told her task. After that I also told what Yanagita-kun's task also. Then we talked about the preparation they're currently doing. After that, I went back to Tempest. Extra chapter. As I went back to Tempest, I went to the room where Seal was waiting for me. Welcome back, Master. Seal greeted me. I'm back. Have you already finished it? I asked. Hi, Master. I've already brought the specific individual souls and some converted into souls as Master ordered, said Seal. Thank you, partner. I thank her as I patted her head. I'm not worthy of such praises, master, Seal said shyly. Shall we start? I asked Seal. Hi, master, Seal replied. Then we started the process of bringing those individuals here. HDARHRTK. Tsukasa and I are currently on the amusement park riding every rides we can. We are currently sitting on the bench where a lot of things had happened. The bench where Kazuki and I usually seat when we were going to the amusement park. This is the spot where we also parted ways as partners. Ever since then, I wished that those memories we removed. I wished that I was just an android who is following the scheduled time. But of course that wish didn't come true. I was always alone in my own apartment. I always remember those memories we had. That's why I had decided myself to not make more memories. Then one day, I was on the elevator, looking on the Ferris wheel from the elevator. As the elevator opened, someone came in. I looked at that person while a tear came out from my eyes. That's when I had met him, my partner and now my lover Tsukasa. Later on he was assigned at Terminal Service 1. The branch I was currently working on. I was really surprised when I saw him again. Then suddenly him and I were assigned as partners. At first I was distant from him, but slowly I opened up to him. One day it was a festival. Tsukasa invited me, Andy, a marksman from Terminal Service 3 and Eru, an engineer in Terminal Service 1. I remembered that day that Tsukasa were keep on talking to both Eru and Andy. He barely notices me. When I looked at his hand, I wanted to hold his hand, but then I accidentally bumped into the mascot. Then I was lost. I went to a bench near the sea, then something very loud and bright in the sky started. I just covered my ears as it was too loud for me. That's where Tsukasa had found me. Then later on he confessed his feelings for me. Then I said, I can't, out loud, which Tsukasa went pale. The next day, Tsukasa was pale as ever. Michiru then came and asked me if the rumors of Tsukasa getting rejected by me was true. Then I went into panic as I don't know what to do with Tsukasa. As another day went by, Kazuki terminated Suka and I's partnership and I was again partnered with Kazuki. There is one retrieval task Kazuki and I had done again. At first I was suspicious as why Kazuki took this. But then I learned that it was for my sake. Later on we argued. It was the last time since we argued like this. I said that this was the best for Tsukasa and Kazuki was not happy by it. Finally the day arrived. I went to Tsukasa and I said that I want to spend my remaining time with him. I confessed my feelings for him. Tsukasa then hugged me. We then started going out. The park will be closing soon. We look forward to your next visit with all of our hearts. Thank you very much for coming today, the announcer said. Tsukasa was looking down, with a gloom on his face. Then I decided to take the initiative. Tsukasa, the park's closing. It's going to close soon, I said to him as I looked at the Ferris wheel. Then I looked at him and said, let's go. Then I stared to pull him towards the Ferris wheel. Go. Go where? Tsukasa said, coming back to his senses. Then right now, we are on the Ferris wheel. After I got permission from the crew we ride the Ferris wheel together. As we ride on the Ferris wheel I looked at Tsukasa. It was quiet for a moment as the Ferris wheel moved slowly upward. It seems like yesterday that we first met, I said, reminiscing as I looked at him. I then noticed that Tsukasa is looking down again, so I continued. I wish I could have shared a lot more fun times with you, I said, then looked at him. He tried to give a smile and just muttered, me too, while nodding his head a little. From now on, you'll be spending time that I won't know about, right? I asked. Yeah. I guess. He answered. I wonder what you'll be doing in the future. Will you still be working at the terminal service? I said and asked. Yeah. I guess. Tsukasa muttered. But our department is a burden to the company, so they might disband it to cut costs. I told him as I remembered. Yeah. I guess. He muttered. But I know you'll be fine. Wherever you go, you'll do a good job. I guarantee it. I tried to cheer him up as I put my hand on my chest to assure him and I gave a smile. Yeah. I guess. Tsukasa muttered. I then put down my hand and looked down for a bit. I ready myself to say this. Then I said, in a few years, you might even have a new girlfriend, Tsukasa. I then looked at him. Tsukasa flinched from what I said. It looks like it hurt him more. I'm sorry. That was mean of me. I apologized. No, Tsukasa said to me. Then silence is there for a moment. I then came up with a new topic. Nay, Tsukasa, what do you love about me? I asked. He muttered, then he looks at me. See, there are lots of things that I love about you. For example, like the way you always read the manual so diligently. Okay, since I told you one thing, now it's your turn, I said as I smiled. Come on, hurry up, I then encouraged him as I gave him a wide smile. The way you're always tripping, I guess? Tsukasa answered. I let out a mutter in shock to his response. Then I looked down a bit, and I started to speak. Okay, my turn. I then think for a second. Then I said. The fact that you have nice handwriting. Hi, I said as I showed my palm to tell that it's his turn. Hi is used here as, okay, in English. The fact that you're so clumsy. He answered. The fact that your favorite food is rice omelets. I said as I smiled. The fact that you're short. Tsukasa answered. It feels like I'm just getting all these insults. I said while feeling down a little. But they're all what I love about you, seriously, Tsukasa said. I was a bit surprised by this. I then gave him my smile and I said. The way you drink my tea like it's so delicious. That's because you're really good at making tea, Tsukasa answered and complimented. The fact that your hands are surprisingly big, I said as I looked at his hands. The fact that you're a scaredy cat, he said. Then finally I said that I loved the most about him. The way you hold back your tears despite your pain, and try so hard to smile. Tsukasa then looks up and looks at me. The way that smile is so wonderful, but it worries me a little, I said as I looked at his eyes. Then I smiled. Ira. Tsukasa called my name. Then the Ferris wheel was already at the top. I broke the silence again as I said, I had a good life, as I look out on the window. Tsukasa just muttered, then I looked at him slowly. Nay, Tsukasa, I was so very happy, I said to him as I showed him the retrieval ring. Then I said, and now it's almost time for this dream to end. Tsukasa just widened his eyes while his mouth was a bit open, then he started to have a tear in his eyes. This is where I wanted to end. Before the Ferris wheel goes all the way around. Nay? I told him. Nay is used here as, okay, in English. Then Tsukasa were on the verge of crying. He then moves his hand slowly. His hand were almost in my face as tears falls down from his eyes. Ira, he muttered. Then I grabbed his hand and I said. That's the first time you let me see you cry, because you've been holding back all this time, right? I said, then I asked him. Tsukasa then starts to cry more, then I continued. Because you're the type to hold back. I then reached my hand to his face. Then I removed some of his tears. I got my face close and put my forehead onto his forehead. I then said, thank you. For crying for me. Thank you. I then moved back to see his face one last time. Then I made him smile using my hands. I also smiled at him. Once I removed my hands, I smiled again. But this time it was my widest smile I could give at him. Tsukasa muttered as he was on the verge of crying once again. Then he gave me his smile as tears falls down. Then Tsukasa wears me the retrieval ring into my hand. He went close to me and he whispered as I closed my eyes. I hope one day, you'll be reunited with the one you cherish. I nodded. Then tears were flowing as I opened my eyes. We then went for a kiss as we hold hands. I then heard a voice. Notice. Switching the individual, Ira, from Alma data into soul. Successful. Transferring soul into body created by the original creator, Rimuru Tempest Sama. Successful. The evolution will commence now. Evolving, Ira, from human to divine human. Successful. Granting the following skills by the original creator Rimuru Tempest Sama. Ultimate skill. Eternal, ultimate skill. Destiny Lord Fortuna, unique skill, Great Sage. Successful. Notice. The individual, Ira's evolution complete. What does voice mean? And who is Rimuru Tempest? It's said by the mysterious voice that it was the original creator. Wait, is this a god? It means that I'm a human now. I was a former Giftia. I then slowly opened my eyes. I can see a woman with bluish-silver long hair, golden eyes. As I opened my eyes completely, I can clearly see that she is looking at me. This must be the original creator named Rimuru Tempest. It seems you're already awake, she said as she smiles. Where am I? I asked. You're currently in the castle's spare room. You must be Ira, right? She told me where I am, then asked my name. Hi. My name is Ira. I answered her. How are you feeling right now? She asks me. I feel a bit more sleepy, I answered. I then looked at my body. It was still the same as when I was still a Giftia. That's normal, you just finished from evolution after all, she said to me as she smiles. Why am I here? I know that I've been retrieved already. I already kissed my beloved as a sign of farewell, I asks. You're here because I granted your wish, Ira-chan, she answered. She granted my wish? I thought to myself. Your lover's name is Mizuki Tsukasa, isn't it? She asks me. Hi. I answered. He's still asleep right over there, she said as she pointed a familiar man sleeping with a familiar girl. That's Tsukasa and Michiru, I thought to myself. I then rushed out from the bed and went beside him. Moments later he slowly opened his eyes. Mizugaki Tsukasa Pav. As I hand over Ira's body, I went back to our apartment. No, now it's only my apartment. Ira is not here anymore. I then went into the room and I noticed a letter on the table. It said on the envelope, to you. I opened the envelope, then I started to read the letter. In the letter, I remember the day we met very well. On the elevator at the shopping mall, with the lights from the Ferris wheel shining through the window, sparkling brightly like that. It was so beautiful, I'm sure there were many people smiling under that light. But for me, the sight was too dazzling. While I was watching, tears came flowing out. Memories frightened me. The happier they were, the more painful it was to remember. They remind me of how weak I am. They cause trouble for everyone around me. So, 3 years ago, I decided I wouldn't make any more memories. I prayed for all memories I had to be forgotten. I wished to become like a program, living on by just following its routines. But I knew none of those could come true. On that day, I felt like I was being crushed under the weight of my memories. I watched the Ferris wheel, unable to leave that elevator as it ascended and descended, again and again. That's when our eyes met. I never thought that after that we'd become partners like we are now. Thanks to you finding me on that day that I can be here right now. A mysterious, fortunate, almost destinated meeting. This favor, I'll never forget it. I'm so glad that I became your partner. By the time you read this, I guess I'll have gone to sleep. You know, I always thought the terminal service was a place where our job was to rip apart memories, and it would never be rewarding. And that we didn't even deserve anyone's gratitude. And yet, it mystified me that there were so many people who said, thank you, to me. But now that my time is about to end, I think I finally understand. Because everybody at the terminal service is so kind that it makes me want to cry. And they're such wonderful people. Because they try so hard to be open with me, it feels so natural to voice my gratitude. I'm so glad that I got to work alongside you. I'm proud that I had the chance to work at the terminal service. Tsukasa, I'm so glad I got to meet you at the end. Thank you. My tears rolled down as I read the letter. I'm also so glad that I met you. I became your partner, Ira. Thank you also for being my girlfriend. I would never forget our memories that we made together. Time skip. As years went by, I still continued to work at terminal service. The new partner that was assigned to me was named Amy. I just decided to keep our relationship professional. Also, I answered Michiru's confession just 6 years after Ira had been retrieved. Michiru and I were currently in the car. I was driving towards to my family house to introduce her. But then, we got into an accident. I then don't remember much, but I remembered that I heard a voice. Notice. The individual named Mizugaki Tsukasa will be reconstructed. Transferring soul into new body prepared by original creator Rimuru Tempest Sama. Successful. Notice. Evolution will begin shortly as requested by original creator Rimuru Tempest Sama. Evolving the individual, Mizugaki Tsukasa, from human into divine human. Successful. Granting the following skills that were given by original creator Rimuru Tempest Sama. Ultimate skill. Immortal, ultimate skill. Fate Lord Fortuna, ultimate skill. Lord of Patience Devui Shiraputori, ultimate skill. Lord of Knowledge Athena. Successful. Notice. The individual, Mizugaki Tsukasa,'s evolution complete. What is that voice? And what are ultimate skills anyway? Then I lost my consciousness. Pav. I don't know what to do. The world is on the verge of destruction. Those humans build their technology so fast. It was also thanks to that leader of the elves, Fatima's Heraphenas. But it would be also interesting on how they will handle this, especially Julie Destodiez. I just hope Okawa-sama won't come here or I'll get scolded for good. I then just decided to watch on how this world will go. It will be destroyed. Or it would last. Either way it will entertain me anyway.